Karen Pierce, Permanent Rep of the United Kingdom to the United Nations. Welcome again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It has been a long way and a long trip, full of minds, and your mission and yourself have worked very hard to get this resolution through. Right. Congratulations on that. Can you explain to our viewers the importance of passing such a resolution?
Well, thank you very much, Tal. Thank you for inviting me. I think the first thing to say is that it's the first Yemen Security Council resolution since 2016, and yet Yemen has been one of the most difficult of all conflicts, with risks of starvation for many millions of people, and what the UN calls the greatest humanitarian catastrophe we've seen for a while. So the stakes couldn't be higher. I think that's point one. The resolution that all 15 members of the Security Council voted for today does a number of things. Firstly, it endorses the political agreements reached in Stockholm by the government of Yemen and the coalition and the Houthis brokered by the UN. These include a ceasefire around the city and port of HADATH, and they include military redeployment. So that's quite a significant step forward. Secondly, the resolution supports the UN's humanitarian requirements and calls on all the parties to work with the UN to deliver those. Thirdly, the resolution looks forward to a formal political process with another round of talks in January. And fourthly, it authorises the Secretary-General of the United Nations to set up an advanced monitoring force that can go into HADATH in the next few days to monitor the ceasefire, and it asks him to make more detailed proposals for a larger force that can be there permanently on the ground, watching the parties, making sure commitments around HADATH are delivered.
I'm sure you agree with me. The question of Iran was a very thorny question. Iran or no Iran, the Americans were insisting on having Iran pointed out as a breacher, a violator of the arms embargo on Yemen, and the Russians were threatening veto. This is no secret now. But why is the whole segment on calling upon countries of the world not to break 2216 or 2231, if to that matter, by importing or exporting arms to Yemen?
Well, the resolution does repeat earlier calls for countries to abide by the arms embargo and for countries not to supply the Houthis with weapons, and it also condemns the attacks that there have been on Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and that's very important. But resolutions are a matter of diplomatic negotiation. Not every country will get every reference it wants, and it was more important, everybody agreed round the Security Council table, in the end it was more important to have a unanimous resolution with the support of all 15 members to demonstrate our support for the Stockholm Agreement, for the humanitarian requirements, and for the UN Special Envoy, and that was the most pressing item we had to do.
Well, we've heard the American representative of the Council, Rodney Hunter, he's the political coordinator, saying that he regrets that the resolution did not mention Iran and that they will live to regret this. But anyway, I'll move on to today. The violation had happened an hour ago by the Houthis, the bombing of HADATH, killing of 6 soldiers and wounding of 18. Are you hoping now, when this monitoring advance team will go in HADATH, go to Yemen, will stop such violations and report on them?
Well, we look to all the parties to abide by the ceasefire, and the ceasefire came into effect at midnight on the 18th of December. So that's a very important point, I think. I hadn't heard the report to which you refer, but I do know that there have been some skirmishes even in that area. But yes, the whole point of getting the UN to put a monitoring team in is so that they can see who is abiding by the ceasefire and alert the Security Council and the international community if the commitments made at Stockholm are broken.
Do you believe that the resolution bestow legality on the whole Stockholm Agreement? Because as we all know, it wasn't signed. They agreed verbally, but it wasn't signed in Stockholm. Do you think now this bestow the legality that it needs, and it will make it more of an official document of the Security Council?
I think for technical reasons, I wouldn't use the word legality, but yes, having a Security Council resolution codifies and endorses the Stockholm Agreements, and that in turn makes it more likely that they will be implemented, and it gives the international community a framework to hold the parties to account for their commitments.
Do you think Stockholm Agreement is a turning point in the Yemen crisis?
I think everybody hopes it will be. The Yemen crisis, as I said at the beginning, has gone on for a long time, and very many people are at risk of starvation, can't get vital medicine in, sanitation is a problem, food and water is a problem, cholera has been found there. So yes, we hope that Stockholm will indeed mark a turning point, but we're not counting chickens. We really need all the parties to implement the commitments they made at Stockholm.
General Patrick Kammert, who is heading the RCC, the Redeployment Coordination Committee, is heading, according to the reports coming from Amman, he's heading to Sana'a first tomorrow and then to HADATH, to that area, with a team comprising of 8 members only, as an initial force while waiting for the SG's recommendation on a strong monitoring mechanism by the 31st of December. Now, looking at a number of 8, while we have withdrawals within 2 weeks to end, from the 18th, from the ceasefire date, 2 weeks from the ports, 3 weeks from the ports and the city. Do you think the number 8 of 8 monitors with General Patrick, with all his experience, and we all know how professional he is enough?
He's a very, very good soldier, and we're delighted that someone of his calibre is going to lead this effort for the United Nations. My understanding is that his team will build up over time. This is the advanced wave. It's much more important that someone gets there quickly, and General Patrick is the best person to do this.
So the phased withdrawal, when the forces withdraw from the ports or the city, who will fill the vacuum that they create?
Well, there's no immediate need for anyone to fill the vacuum. Hopefully the people of Yemen will be able to go about their daily business without living in fear of the fighting, and that's the best answer, I think, to the vacuum. But really, I think we will also have to wait for General Patrick's comments and plans when he gets there and can experience the situation for himself.
Why, in your opinion, are the monitors not wearing any uniforms or distinguishing marks? They're not armed, we understand, but why aren't they being distinguished as UN monitors?
I can't help you on that one, I'm afraid. We'll have to look to the UN plans and ask that question of them.
No, I'm just worried about their safety, because if you could, they could be subjected to crossfires.
Yes, it's a risk. It's a risk when monitors go in, especially to places where there's been war fighting. It's another reason to have a Security Council resolution. It helps protect the monitors. It helps people realise who they are. It provides a degree of security for them.
You asked in operational paragraph number 5 for a minimum of 30 days for this advance. Why so short?
Well, it's an advanced team, and it's a blanket authorisation for the Secretary-General. So we don't like to go beyond 30 days, largely for resources reasons. But if the Secretary-General came to the Council and said he needed another period of time, I'm sure the Council would seek to help the Secretary-General.
I'd like to ask one last question. The resolution invites international financial institutions to provide adequate assistance to the Special Envoy on request. What is meant by this exactly, and who do you mean by the international organization? World Bank, IMF?
One of the problems for the Yemeni economy is that salaries aren't being paid and there is not much foreign exchange, meaning that Yemeni currency is becoming is worth less and less than it was, which means in turn that the price of food and medicine is higher and higher because so much has to be imported. The central bank needs help in putting this right and getting more foreign exchange. So by the international financial institutions, we do mean the World Bank and IMF and the regional development banks. We would look to them to assist the government of Yemen and the central bank in trying to stabilise the economy.
You are the pen holder in Yemen, and this will not be your first rodeo, will not be the first or last resolution. Shall we expect another resolution by the United Kingdom after the coming round in January, hopefully?
I think we need to wait and see what it does. and whether or not it produces an agreement that would benefit from being formally endorsed by the Security Council. So I think we will take it step by step. I think we've made a good start today for the people of Yemen. The parties have been very helpful. It's time to look to the next stage. So we wait to hear from Martin Griffiths, the envoy, about his plans.
We thank you for coming straight from the Security Council to talk to us, and we wish you all the very best of luck. And again, congratulations.
Thank you very much
Madam
indeed.
Ambassador.
Thank you.
Thank you.